I have Donald Pelfrey on. Donald, would you mind just introducing yourself and where you're located and your title?
Yep, I'm Donald Pelfrey. I'm the regional director for the Mule Deer Foundation for Arizona and Southern Nevada. I've volunteered with Game and Fish now for 30 years. I'm the leading expert for swiftwater rescue of large game animals
Very
in
cool.
the state of Arizona.
And that's why we're having this conversation. There's been a few videos. I think you probably have a lot more than's out there, but the ones that I've seen are 3 different videos of you rescuing deer from the canal. And so we wanted to kind of get a backstory and learn more about that process. And before we get started, we just want to say that we're not encouraging anyone else to rescue deer. It's a pretty dangerous game. Donald's been doing it, 25, 30 years at this point, and is professional. Yeah. So let's just put that out there because we don't want people thinking they're gonna be, big Donald Pelfrey and start rescuing deer. So how frequently does this happen, Donald? So I've seen 3 videos, but before we started recording, I think you said there's in the thousands that this has happened.
Yeah, so Game and Fish is figuring I have over 2,000 deer rescues out of the canal systems with mule deer over the last 30 years. And that includes mule deer, 1 bull elk, lots of Sonoran pronghorn, which are an endangered species, bighorn sheep. So pretty much you name it, I've pulled it out of the canal.
Wow. And how do you, does someone call you? Is it all in the same canal as far as where the majority of these are happening?
Yeah, so there's hundreds of miles of canal systems throughout eastern or southern Arizona. So that's how all the crops get their water is from the Colorado River, and it all flows through these canal systems. And the important thing, everybody on the comments, they always say there needs to be more water on the landscape, needs to be more water. These deer are trying to get the water. These deer aren't there to get the water. These deer, it goes back to the old saying, why did the chicken cross the road? Why did the deer cross the canal? They're trying to get to the farm fields on the other side. Game and Fish does a great job of putting water on the landscape. There's lots of water on the landscape for the mule deer in the desert. So they're there in the hot summer months. The forage isn't there in the desert for them. So they migrate down to these farmlands, and that canal stands between them and the farmland. Gotcha. So conveniently, they're drinking from the canal, obviously, when they get there, but their whole goal is to cross that canal to get to the farmland on the other side. Right. And the problem is, over the years, the last 10 years, farming has gotten so strict with, the problem with E. coli and all the diseases that could get on your winter crops. And so it's important to note that mule deer have never been associated. There's never been a positive test of E. coli in a mule deer. So, but that's still a concern they have. So if a deer or a large game animal walks through a lettuce field, they have to disc 10 feet each side of that for the concern. So they've put up miles and miles of fencing, and what it has done is funneled these deer that have been trained over the last 100 years of going into these farm fields. They've now had to adapt, and it's funneled them to the canals where they used to be able to cross roads and bridges. Those are all fenced off now. So the canal is the only way to get across. And when you're hungry, you're going to find a way to get to that food. So it's the summer months is when we're busy. You don't get very many deer in the canal during the winter time because there's forage on the desert landscape for them. So they prefer to be out in the desert and away from people. So when it gets hot, that's when they come to the canals. That's when they get in. That's when people call. So if they don't call Game and Fish, they know I'm the one that does it. They'll call me directly, and then myself and Game and Fish will usually go out there, but I live in the area, so I'm usually closer. Most of the time I have them out before Game and Fish gets there, but there's a lot of times we all have to team up when it's a big mule deer.
Yeah, no,
absolutely. Wants to put up a fight.
I was wondering how you got notified. I thought maybe you just like a tingle in your ear and you're like, a deer's in trouble. You're like, I must go, Superman style.
There's always somebody who calls.
Yeah, no, I bet. And so when you first arrive on scene, kind of how do you assess? Like, what's your thought process and I love the context because that really does give us insight into why they're going into the canal and then, why they get stuck and rescued. But what is your process as far as like assessing the situation when you first arrive on scene to one of these?
So the first thing I'll do is when I pull up on a deer that's been reported in the canal, I know the canal systems and I know where the deer escapes are. All the canal systems have deer escapes. So if, let's say I know there's a deer escape 100 yards down the road. Well, now it's going to turn into herd. I'm going to herd that deer toward that deer escape. So I don't have to exert my energy trying to rope it, stress it out, roping it and pulling it out and fighting it. So if I can get it to that deer escape, which a lot of people ask about, well, why aren't there more deer escapes? The deer escapes are there.
Yeah.
They're there. Just it's a learning curve for the deer. It might be a young deer. It might have, once they're hungry and they got one thing on their mind, they just want to get across that canal. So they don't think about, where deer escapes are. But a lot of them do learn and they know where the deer escapes are. So if there's not a deer escape close, I'll go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and that was a question I had when I first watched these, was because I was like, deer can swim, so what's going on? But it's because the way the canal's shaped, there's no way for them to get out. And so when you say a deer escape, it's like an escape ramp, right? Where there's a little bit of an incline so that they can climb out of the canal. But those are like maybe every 15, 20 feet, or how many are they gonna?
Every couple miles.
Oh, every couple miles.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I see, if you're close to one, you'll hurt it. But if you're 3 miles from one, you're just going to try to get it out the best way you can without that ramp. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And over the years of doing this, I can read a deer when it's in the canal. When I pull up, if there's not a deer escape close, I'll look at the condition of the deer. I can tell by the way it's holding its ears and its head above water how tired it is. So a deer can swim healthily, no problem, for 4 or 5 hours. It can swim. So if I get there and I can tell that deer's holding its head high, ears are up, it's alert, it's jumping away from where I'm at, I know this deer's not been in there very long, I'm going to need help. Because when this deer comes out, he's going to be healthy and he's going to want to fight.
Yeah.
If the ears are drooping, just barely keeping its nostrils above water, I know that deer's been in there a while and it's tired, it's not going to put up much of a fight. I can rope it, pull it out. First thing I do is once I get the rope on it, if I don't have help there, I will control it by the rope, get it to the ground right away, and make sure I've got it laying down, and I'll put my knees on it so he or she can't get up, and then, run off with my rope. And then you got another problem if you let it escape with the rope. And I'll usually assess them, make sure, they look good, no broken legs, no anything on them, and then turn them away. And the important thing is, a lot of people who try to rescue deer, they'll be on the farm side of the canal. Well, you can't pull the deer out on the farm side of the canal. You've got to pull it out on the desert side. You pull it out on the farm side, 99% of the time it's going to jump right back into the canal because it's trying to get away from you and it's trying to go back to the desert, to its home. And so you've always got to pull it out from the desert side. And if there's no way to get to the desert side, we'll usually pull them out, hog tie their legs up, load them back to the truck, and then take them to the desert side.
Wow.
And so it's just 30 years of doing it. I know how to read the deer in there, and there have been times I've pulled deer out that shouldn't have been pulled out so soon by myself, and me and that deer went round and round. And because I can't let it leave with the rope. There are several deer that have been caught on trail camera that people have pulled out, and it's got away with the rope, and 2 years later it still has 5 foot of rope hanging from its neck that it's walking around with. And a lot of times they'll get them caught in trees, and then basically they're just tied up for the mountain lion that comes along, or the coyotes.
So when you don't, I think the videos that I've seen, they're all bucks, but I imagine you've had a few does. When there's not antlers, are you just roping the neck, or what changes then?
Yeah, rope it around the neck. I prefer does. They're a lot easier to handle. The bucks usually want to fight you a little bit, so the does usually go along with the program. You pull them out, lay them down, get the rope off, let them go, and they go on their way. But if it's a buck, I prefer to rope it by one antler, so I don't get the rope around its neck. So just in case I do lose that somehow and I lose the deer and it runs off, well, now when it comes time to shed that antler, it's going to lose that rope, and most likely it's
going to fall off.
Going to work that rope off the antler if I just rope one antler. So I factor those in when I'm roping them. And then just for an example, it's different for every species. So when I rope a bighorn sheep that's in the canal, they are a ton of work, and I tie them to the hitch to the truck. So I'll tie the rope to the hitch to the truck first, and then rope the bighorn sheep, and then I'll take another rope and loop it into the loop of the rope that's around its neck. So that way when I pull him out, because that bighorn sheep's gonna make lunch out of me when he gets out.
Yeah.
So
Charge.
So you usually get in the back of the truck, and then I have that other rope that I pull, and then it loosens the rope around him, and he runs out of it and he runs off. So
Wow.
it's different with every species. So mule deer are what I love. That's what I spend all my time out there with, are the mule deer, but I do rescue all of them. So
That's so cool. You said that deer can swim 4 to 5 hours, which is wild. Is there a point in which it becomes fatal? So if it's like 6 hours and no one's helped, have you found just deer in the canal because they couldn't get out? Or
unfortunately, for every deer I pull out, it's usually if I don't get out there in time, or if somebody else doesn't come along that reports it and gets game and fish out there, we have quite a few fatalities.
you said for you got choppy there. You said for every deer you pull out, there's how many?
So for every 5 deer, let's say for every 5 deer I pull out in a week, there will be one drowned deer for that ratio. So
Man.
A lot of times they will eventually find a way out. The canals are at a 4-to-1 slope on the banks. All canals are a 4-to-1 slope, which is the slope of the contour. Doesn't matter if the canal is 40 foot wide or 5 foot wide, it's a 4-to-1 slope on the canal bank, on the concrete. And what that does is the deer, not only are they fatigued from swimming in there, but their hooves from that concrete, they're trying to get out nonstop constantly. They'll wear their hooves all the way down to just bloody nubs. Wow. So yeah. And that's another way to tell how long it's been in the canal, by looking at its hooves, because it's survival, kicks in for them, and that's all they're trying to do is get out. And
it makes sense.
They eventually just give up the fight and unfortunately drown. I have done CPR twice.
Wow.
On mule deer that have drowned in the canal, and I watched them in the process of trying to rope them. I knew they didn't have long. They went under. I was able to get them, pull them out, and start CPR. Then I am 1 for 1. I did have one survive, and
yeah. Hey, 50% is not bad. Going back to the escape ramps or the deer ramps, is that something that the state puts in, or is that like a chapter rewards opportunity in certain areas? Like, who's kind of responsible for determining and paying for those escape ramps or deer ramps?
So the irrigation company is responsible for the escape ramps. The escape ramps were installed in the design of the canal when they poured the concrete.
Gotcha.
In the 1930s that they built these canal systems. And that was when the escape ramps were installed in the canals, but it's a different canal system now with the fences. Right. So they worked perfectly back then for, where the deer could cross, and it was for when deer accidentally fell in once in a while. Mm-hmm. Now the deer are purposely jumping in the canal and trying to swim across to get to the farms on the other side. And we do have a project we're working on right now with Arizona Game and Fish and a bunch of other partners, Juma Rod and Gun Club, Mule Deer Foundation. We're all working together. We have a one-of-a-kind food plot we're building in the desert that is going to keep the deer from wanting to cross the canal to get to the alfalfa on the other side. We're going to have everything they need in the desert. They're going to have the mesquite trees. They're going to have the alfalfa. They're going to have the water source. Everything's going to be in the desert for them. So we're hoping to use that as a blueprint. So when it works and we show that we've already proven it worked, we had a little test spot, we proved it worked. So once we establish this and other companies and agencies can come in and see what we've done, hopefully we can imprint this across the desert. And where there are canal systems, Arizona's not the only one with canal systems. Everybody has canal systems. Utah, I've talked to a DNR there that said that they have deer rescues that they do in the canal systems as well there, and a lot of the other states do have the canal system. So it's a national problem, not a Arizona
problem. That's really cool. So it's almost like I know, like, for some of the scientists, they'll use like clover traps to bring deer in and then collar them. So this is almost like that. You're creating like a little space where there's forage and there's food and there's water, so they don't even want to go. They don't need to cross the canal because what they're crossing the canal for will be provided before they even hit. That is really cool. I look forward to hearing more about that.
And I always tell everybody, the deer don't want to be in the alfalfa fields. It's a necessity for them to be in the farm fields to eat. They prefer to be in the desert in their home. They like it out there. They like being out there with their protection. So when you drive up and they're in a field in the desert, well, now they have their escape. When they're in the farm fields, they have nowhere to go. I mean, it's farm fields for
Right.
40 miles as the eye can see. So they're kind of stuck and exposed out there, but it's a necessity to them. They've got to have that nutrients because it's just not on the desert floor for them this time of
Right.
year.
Interesting. Well, Donald, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. And for those listening or watching this, if you want to get involved in any of Donald's chapters or learn more about what Arizona's doing, you can go to the muledeer.org and then click on chapters, and you'll see a state map there, United States. Click on Arizona, and then you can either click on a chapter. You'll find Donald's information there, email, phone number if you want to reach out and figure out how you can get more involved. But this was really just really
Yeah.
informative, and it's cool to be able to now have a story to those videos, because you just kind of see this chaos and you see you like
Yeah.
roping, and it's like, well, what's even going on? So thank you. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you want people to know about deer rescue or anything, or mule deer in general before we hop off?
It's the vanishing icon of the West, which is our model this year, and it's once you get out there and you see on the landscape and you see what's happening with the deer drowning, and not all the ones rescued. It is a problem nationwide. I mean, this is just a little problem here in Arizona, but you're going to find each one of those key problems in other states. It may not be the canal systems in Utah. It may be something else vanishing, but
Right.
everything does impact those mule deer, and they are very sensitive to change.
Yeah.
So and what you said about getting involved, going to muledeer.org and going to the state. If you don't see a chapter in whatever state you're in, if there's not a chapter in your city, reach out to that RD. He is looking for the opportunity to make a chapter in that area, in that city. So
Yeah,
just because you don't
absolutely.
see there that you have a chapter, don't hesitate to reach out, because we'd be more than happy to start a chapter in that region.
No, absolutely. And another thing I always like to plug or note is that, chapter rewards is pretty unique to MDF, and that is the ability for money that's left over for that particular chapter to apply it to something that affects that community and mule deer in that community. So we are a national, but we're acting locally, and so chapter rewards
Yep.
really allow that to happen, and for specific challenges unique to that area to be addressed using those chapter rewards. So awesome, Donald. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Also, Donald has some of the best MDF gear you could ever see. So if you see him out there in the wild with some camo, cool MDF shirt, that is all him. We did not provide that for him, but appreciate your time so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.